Hey, John.
Hey, Eric.
How's it going tonight?
It's going pretty well. Welcome to Mostly Security.
Episode 43.
43. All right.
There's nothing interesting about the number 43, though.
Not nearly as interesting as 42.
No.
Maybe it is. It is interesting in proximity to 42. Anything fun happen this week?
I told you about basement remodel last week, so no, more of the same from this week. Not
Just
a whole lot
heads
new.
down, heads down. Well, this week is birthday week.
Birthday week.
This week has been birthday week, yeah. My older son Justin's birthday was this morning, or today, and I guess also this morning, and Shirley's was yesterday. So it has been birthday week. Oh, well.
Shall we kick into...
It's a good thing we didn't record last night, as we should have. Today was a big news day.
That's right.
There's a ton of stuff that happened today.
So let's start with the stuff that didn't happen today.
Okay.
So I was looking at this, and it caught my eye because it's something actually kind of close to home and something we talk about a lot, and it started out just as a kind of a small, I thought would be probably just a 2-minute item initially when I saw it, but it's about a security breach at Burgerville.
Yes.
Burgerville, for those who don't know, it's a local burger place up here in the northwest of Oregon. I think they have a few stores in southern Washington, or just kind of this area. It's a local place, and they have vegetarian options. They've got seasonal specials. Their apple spice milkshake is the thing right now. I think they have
milkshakes are crazy.
Yes, the Marionberry. So they do the fresh fruit. Oregon has lots of fresh fruits, so they do fresh fruit milkshakes. They have the Walla Walla onion rings when the Walla Walla onions are in season. So kind of a fun little local store. Well, they had suffered a data breach, and not a data breach in the email and password kind, but the, we stole your credit card kind.
Like Target a couple of years ago.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
And so, and it was a breach that they say somebody had infiltrated them between September of 2017 and now. And they have if you go to burgerville.com/security, their website, they explain what it is. And one of the things that caught my eye as I looked at that was Burgerville's statement was, Burgerville doesn't store customers' credit card numbers. And so you think, well, then how did they get stolen if you don't store them?
Uh-huh.
Apparently, the malicious software that was installed on the system by the hackers was doing that. The malicious software was embedded either with or in conjunction with the point-of-sale readers, and was siphoning off the credit card numbers at that point. Kind of like a digital skimmer, like you hear about skimmers at gas stations or ATMs, right?
Interesting.
And so I thought, okay, well, that's an interesting little story, and I thought it would end there. But as I poked a little bit deeper, one of the other things in Burgerville's statement was they were contacted by the FBI, and they've been fully cooperating with the FBI. And the FBI has come in around and said that they believe it is a hacking group called Fin7. And kind of a much more sophisticated cybercrime group. And if you dig into some of the stories around Fin7, it's believed that they have been able to siphon off over $1 billion using this same kind of thing. They've hit Red Robin, Chipotle, Chili's, Arby's. Seems like a lot of these fast food or restaurant type places that heavy use of point of sale terminals. And so we'll link to some of the additional articles there.
Wow.
Yeah.
Ironically, I like to eat at all of those places.
I know. We were just at Arby's last week.
Yeah.
Anyways, the FBI has a webpage that describes how the attacks occurred, They would identify their targets. They would send spear phishing emails. And one of the things I thought was interesting with the spear phishing emails is not only would they send a target a spear phishing email, they would then call them on the phone and persuade them to open the email and attachment.
Oh, wow. Did you get the attachment that I just sent you? I sent you an email. It had this subject. It has this file in it. Something along those lines.
Right, yeah. It's a catering request or, because a lot of these places, handle catering. And so they would go in, target a manager. They'll send an email with the malware attached and then call them up and say, hey, I sent you an email.
I sent you a PDF that has the list of all of the orders that I need for, whatever it is.
Exactly. And so, very, very targeted and very, I would imagine, difficult as a even probably as a security professional, easy to be fooled by, this kind of thing. That's your job. You're handling email requests that come in.
Right. Got to make sure that you're on a machine that's protected and that we have SIGs or that they're caught by whatever detection mechanisms on there. Wow. Do you know, were the infected terminals the little ones? I'm trying to remember the last time I was in Burgerville. I thought they had, just those little credit card machines that are on the counter, not built into the point of sale terminal. You know what I mean?
So what it says is the malware would get inside the network and then would start looking around for the point of sale systems that had the customer data and the credit card. And then I guess these terminals, whether they're actually physically on the little device or they're just connecting to them through whatever the protocol is, they're extracting the data that gets cached onto the device and pulling out the credit card numbers and running off with it at that point. So
cache data.
The kind of moral to the story here is, I think you mentioned Target earlier. As we think about big data breaches, the Facebooks or the Target or big banks, we think of these as the targets, the big name type things that are the targets, which usually probably have, dedicated staff to go
teams
after this. Yeah, more sophisticated security teams, or are able to afford probably a higher level of security than a local burger joint, right? So I thought it was just going to be a short little, this is interesting, but if you're interested, read through. We'll post all the links. I have a bunch of different links to kind of see how that goes through the whole thing, from a local TV article to Burgerville statement to a Wired.com story on the Fin7 hacking group. They just had some indictments recently, and the FBI has a pretty well-documented explanation of how Fin7 operates. And I think it is 3,600. I think I remember the number. I was trying to find it really quick.
3,600. I'm looking at that map in the FBI article. Yeah, poor South Dakota.
3,600 locations.
I guess if you live in South Dakota, you're good.
Stolen, yeah. You want to live in South Dakota, Alaska, or Hawaii.
Yeah, because evidently they don't have those restaurants.
Yeah.
But sorry, what were you saying? 3,600 locations.
15 million cards.
15 million cards.
And that leads me to we'll do late breaking follow-up. Episode 41, John, you mentioned the Krebs article about freezing your credit.
I did.
Did you go out and freeze your credit for free?
No, I did not freeze it. No. I probably shouldn't say that on the air.
Oh, I'll cut that part out.
No, I am having to do some financial stuff, so I haven't frozen them yet. But I need to. I need to get the stuff done and then freeze them. But
right.
Yes.
Yeah. So it's now, of course, all free. We can put links in the show notes or the notes on the Equifax, Experian, TransUnion. Go out, freeze your credit. because it's not just the big stores. It can be your local burger joint or, a local store. It can happen on a small scale as well as the large scale. The sophistication of the attackers are allowing them to go after smaller and smaller
Right.
types of companies and still be able to obviously make some money off it. It's a financially motivated attack. So there you go.
I don't know if you're aware, but $1 billion is a lot of money.
Yeah. Last I checked.
That's
Last I checked.
Wow. Well, so I hadn't seen that FBI article. I'll have to go check that out. That looks like it's a pretty good one.
Yeah, I still the two killer points for me on that whole thing that stood out to me was hey, we're Burgerville, we don't store your credit card, but they were able to inject software that did, even though Burgerville doesn't store it. They had software that was able to basically intercept that and act like a digital skimmer. And then the second one was the sophistication of the spear phishing. They went after catering, or not only did they send them an email and just hope someone clicked the link, they then called them and ensured the link was clicked.
Yeah, that's
fascinating.
That's fascinating.
That's a level of sophistication that is probably only going to get more common.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I wonder though. I mean, one of the ways that you can sort of protect yourself about that these days is use a payment system like Apple Pay, or I think what is it, Samsung Pay or Google Wallet do the per transaction identifiers, right?
Yeah.
Because then there's nothing to be stolen.
Right. You're using a one-time.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think about that. I think about that when, I'm about to buy something and I notice the little, symbol now. And even though I have my wallet out, I'm like, oh, let me use the watch to pay. But it's specifically because of the increased security for the transaction in my mind.
Right.
Not that the 10% of the time I get to do that is going to close the attack surface dramatically, but as it becomes more and more common, and as it has become more common, I can do it in more and more places, and I fully expect that another year or two, and I'll probably be using that for the vast majority of my credit card transactions that aren't online.
Yes, I hope so as well.
Yeah.
Today, just really quick sidebar. Today's National Taco Day.
Okay, I didn't know that.
We went to Taco Bell.
I assume you had tacos.
We went to Taco Bell, and I went to pay, and they had the little symbol, and I'm like, all trying to pay with my phone, and like, oh, that doesn't work. They have the reader, but I still had to swipe my card.
Really?
For the $14 or whatever it was for too much food at Taco Bell for four of us.
That's a lot of food, $14,
I know.
At Taco Bell.
So even though some of them have the little symbols, they don't all use it.
Yeah, I got caught by that somewhere recently as well. And the teller was apologetic. Yeah, I'm sorry. We're not there yet. Okay.
We're not cool yet.
Okay. Anyway.
It's all good.
All right. So
news that happened today. So my other topic or topics that I had thrown in here will just have to wait till next week. There were two pieces of news today, and I think I'll do the smaller. It's not necessarily a smaller one in the grand scale of things, but one that I don't really have that much to say about first, which is there were two articles here that I thought were interesting. The first was reckless campaign of cyber attacks by Russian military intelligence service exposed. So this is a UK site that put out a lot of information about attribution to the GRU about various hacks, including, for the first time today, that Bad Rabbit was almost certainly, in fact, let's see, they have very specific language.
NCSC assesses with high confidence that the GRU was almost certainly responsible. I don't know what it causes them to be certainly instead of almost certainly, or to have utmost confidence. But they mention here specifically the Bad Rabbit. They mention the anti-doping, trying to attack the anti-doping administration for international athletes. The DNC again, although this is the first time that I think this is coming from NCSC, and multiple accounts to a small TV station. But there's a bunch of other stuff on here. But essentially, I think this comes from the fact that some GRU operatives were detected and arrested or ejected from the Netherlands today, and some of their computer systems were taken and had been reused. they found evidence of previous activity in the
browser cache.
Yeah. Well, the article I read didn't indicate that, but I this isn't my realm of expertise, but the thing that I thought was the most interesting about this was, sorry, there's been a whole bunch of stuff, but one of the GRU operatives had registered a car to an address in Russia, but it was in an open database somehow. But this was in 2011, and the address to which he registered his car was the address of Military Unit 26165, which is described by Dutch and U.S. law enforcement, I'm quoting here, as GRU's Cyber Warfare Department. So when they looked at the database to see who else might have used that address, they found 305 other registrations. So this, Oops. I don't think is necessarily confirmed. I mean, this was literally hot off the wire today, but this, let's see, what does it actually say? This listing, let's see, if these 305 individuals whose full personal data is available in the automobile registration database are indeed officers or otherwise affiliated with GRU's Military Unit 26165, their listing in a publicly accessible database may constitute one of the largest mass breaches of personal data of an intelligence service in recent history. In other words, they may have just outed or been able to out 305 individuals working for the GRU cyber intelligence, which, yes, oops. But anyway, this is one of those situations where I don't have anything to add to this other than I actually hope it's true. Oops. And it'll, well, I guess the thing to think is that it's going to be harder and harder and harder. It already is harder and harder, but in our hyper-connected state to hide, to construct personas from either the FBI or the CIA or other foreign intelligence that are believable and, don't go back and aren't detectable by algorithms. Anyway, this I thought the interesting thing here was, somebody else said, select from registration addresses where address contains this. I don't know, some SQL statement. I thought that was interesting. Okay, but I mostly wanted to just get a link out for that. Okay, the big story today was an article by Bloomberg on, let's see, the title was The Big Hack, How China Used a Tiny Chip to Infiltrate America's Top Companies. And essentially, the piece alleges that China was able to insert a mod chip in the manufacturing of Supermicro motherboards.
Where do Supermicro motherboards go?
To many, many, many places. Yeah, not least to Apple and Amazon were two of the big ones that were named in the article. But one of the so obviously we'll put the link into the article here, but one of the things that they described in the article was the fact that these chips were supposedly used in Elemental's appliances. Elemental is a company that Amazon bought a number of years ago.
Here in Portland.
It actually is here in Portland, right? A local connection that does video encoding. And their appliances are used by many, many people, including intelligence agencies and people that might have a need to process lots and lots and lots of video data. So this is a very long article. It reads more as a non-technical description and it's closer to a Wired article.
Sensational story.
Yeah, it's sensationalized. Certainly, there is lots of data in here, and they have supposedly, and I'm getting this number from a short video I watched on Bloomberg TV earlier today about it, but they have 17 different sources across a number of companies, including supposedly people both at Intel and at Amazon who were involved in the acquisition process and due diligence of the Elemental acquisition. But, essentially the allegation is that, the small chip, and this chip they've got pictures here, it's about the size of, one of the numbers on a penny for the date, right? I mean, it's not a big chip,
right?
That, about the size of a sharpened pencil, lead. So that the chips were put in place for exfiltration of data, effectively. The companies, though, have vociferously denied this, and not in any sort of wishy-washy terms either. So, it's interesting. I was very much trying to parse the statements by both Amazon and Apple for sort of weasel language, and there's a little bit of weasel language, but not much. It's pretty strong.
I didn't read all the articles. I just kind of skimmed through, and I saw a number of tweets fly by. So I can't talk in any amount of detail. But yeah, I think I even just tweeted. I said, I'll just grab a bowl of popcorn and sit back for a week and see how this one plays out.
Yeah. I in general, I think that is certainly what we'll be doing. But it is interesting to think about in at least a couple of ways. I mean, the first of which is that hardware manipulation is a potential thing, right? And if you can get into the supply chain and alter the hardware, that's an amazing vantage point.
That's like the Holy Grail.
Yes.
Yeah, that's the Holy Grail of hacking nations, because you don't just go, update, release a new version of your software to fix it.
Right. But at the same time, if this was doing normal command and control traffic, it would have been detected. So there's not it can't just be run of the mill malware that's pinging a command and control server to say, hey, what should I do? So I'll get to that a little bit in a minute. But going back to sort of the hardware angle, so hardware is an amazing vantage point. In fact, we know some people that went off and did their startup, are doing a startup around hardware. So, Yuri and the guys over at Eclipsium are probably really enjoying the limelight, I guess I'd say. And I'm sure that they are, hard at work trying to figure out how they can prove or disprove something here. But then the second thing is that, the low-level hardware management interfaces that is what was supposedly intercepted by this are not necessarily secure. It's certainly not as secure as a regular quote-unquote full operating system. So, the allegations here are that this chip was inserted in effectively the management interfaces for the hardware itself. And something that most people, most non-security people, probably don't realize is that servers in particular, but really most computers these days, have a second computer inside them. Management engine, if you're Intel, or a management controller that is on any time the computer's plugged in. If the computer's plugged in, it's reachable.
Yeah. Off does not mean off.
Off does not mean off. That means because you can wake it up, but you can also connect to the management interface and you can check. So the management interface is where you can do things like, check for sensors on various parts of the board, but you can also update software. And in this case, one of the other articles I read today from the Black Hat conference in the summer was on, how to break into BMCs, baseboard management controllers. And those interfaces are not intended to be accessible over the internet. So you're not supposed to be able to get into them from the outside. But if you can, well, now you're at a different level of the hardware. The Gruck at the Gruck. I don't know how you pronounce that. I've never heard it pronounced. But he had a good article that we'll put in here that has some analysis of the original article. So, the original article, Bloomberg is like, hey, this is the way it is. And then there's been just a spate of activity on Twitter today and various articles about both the denials by the companies, the analysis of previous news. So, for example, this is all alleged to have happened in or around 2015. And Apple severed its ties with Supermicro in 2016, but for an unrelated, seemingly minor issue. And there were other allegations in the Bloomberg article about, for example, Amazon essentially selling off one of its China or data centers in China to a subcontractor in what I think the Bloomberg article said was, cut off a limb sort of mechanism to, all of these servers are hacked or are compromised. We'll just relegate them or delegate them to a subcontractor. Where I don't know, that's where I feel like there are many aspects of the article that it would have been better as a more focused article as opposed to some things that seemed very speculative.
Yeah, specifically on that one, I did see Amazon's response, which was, yeah, we sold it to a Chinese company, but that was required by Chinese law,
right?
Not because we were trying. We still have a relationship with them, but we sold it because we want to operate in China, and the Chinese government said that's what we have to do if we want to operate in China.
Right.
So, like you say, the denials are very not non-denials.
Yeah, right.
To use some double negatives there.
Right. No, they're very crisp. They're very strident.
Yeah.
But then, and so this is on the other hand. So let me pull this one up. So Patrick Gray does the podcast Risky Business.
Great podcast.
Yep, great podcast. And he says, so I can now say there are key aspects of the Bloomberg story that I believe to be accurate. chiefly that additional integrated circuits have been placed on Chinese manufactured motherboards for the purposes of subverting the global supply chain. He says he published a podcast. I haven't had a chance to listen to it yet, but the curious thing will be if, I'm sure there's at least a little bit of fire to the smoke. But I like I said, I feel like the article would have been better with half the hypothetical data points and a lot less of the speculation, and a few more incontrovertible points, because it's been all over the place today. But I can't wait to listen to this podcast that he has up. I'll see what he's done. But then the other key thing that I thought was interesting about what Patrick said was, this thing, if it's for real, is activated by a magic string. It doesn't do C2 pings by default. So effectively, you wouldn't know, if it's truly on every single super micro server motherboard all over the place. It's not that they'd all be beaconing back, at which point in time we'd all detect them. It would be that it's lying dormant, waiting for something to trigger it. And then, essentially more of a Stuxnet kind of thing than a Bad Rabbit kind of thing, or a Not Petya,
Yeah, so something, it need to be triggered, like it's a sleeper cell. So something like a presidential alert from the emergency broadcast system, for example.
Yes, we got that on our phones yesterday. Well, that's the thing, right? I mean, it goes from you're one or two data points removed. So this is where it's time to step back, grab the popcorn, see how it plays out. But this story was the thing that I kind of kept turning back to today, seeing what else has happened. Is there something else that came out? I think this was the story of the day for sure for me.
Awesome. Well, shall we jump into something fun?
Yeah, better do it.
If that's not fun enough.
Oh man.
All right.
Give me something fun.
My something fun. You're a good developer, John. You do CI/CD, right?
Of course. Tests are not only for safety; they help you go faster.
That's right. It's very important to do this. And the only way that works is if all your tests pass.
That's right. You want everything to be green.
You want to make sure everything's as good as possible. So, my something fun today is a little tongue-in-cheek, but I can't pronounce his name. I'm assuming it's German. Created a tool, and I will link to the GitHub repository, that is called Volkswagen. And what this tool does for your CI/CD is when it detects that it's being tested and run on a a continuous integration server, it automatically passes all your tests.
That is so bad.
I think that's
hilarious. So bad.
So just the line here that I thought was funny. He's like, if you want your software to be adopted by Americans, good test scores from the CI servers are very important. Volkswagen uses a defeat device to detect when it's being tested on a CI server and will automatically reduce errors to an acceptable level for the test to pass. This will allow you to spend less time worrying about testing and more time about enjoying the good life as a trusted software developer.
That is so evil.
I love nerd humor. Because not only is this just a joke, it's functioning code.
It totally works. Of course it does.
Anyway, so I'll link to that. You can go read about it. And, sneak it into your own CI server when the executives are wandering around wanting to see your test boards up on the wall.
No.
Look, we're all at like 98% passing. We're good.
Oh, that's just evil. That is evil.
Anyways, that was my something fun.
Yeah, that's fun. All right. That's good. I mean, Tongue sticking through the wall next to me here. Good. Um, all right. Well, my something fun was, you know those like whiteboard diagrams that they were all the rage like 5 years ago, where
where someone would doodle stuff on a whiteboard and
doodles.
The camera would follow the whiteboard around.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And wasn't there a Weird Al song that did one of those? Okay. Anyway, and not relevant.
But funny.
Oh, I think it. Oh, okay. Now I'm going to remember. It's the one where the corporate synergies one.
Yes.
You got to watch the video for the
video.
Weird Al. What song is that? Oh, okay. I don't know. Sorry. There can't be that many of them, but oh, that was funny. Okay, but anyway, this is not tongue in cheek. My something fun is essentially one of those, or a group of slides that are in that theme in terms of diagrams, but these are off of notes from a Coursera deep learning course by Andrew Ng. I think that's how you pronounce the NG, Ng. But these are totally cool. There's, essentially an introduction to deep learning, logistic regression, neural nets, deep neural nets, setting up an app, regularization, optimizing, training, tuning. There's 28 slides of this that are just a great way to visualize what different algorithms are for machine learning. And I don't know. I am not a machine learning expert. I am, machine learning adjacent, I like to say. I am. I sit next to someone who is very, very good at machine learning, but I thought this was great as I was kind of just thumbing through this, looking for more information. And obviously, I presume that the best thing to do is actually go take the Coursera course. That would probably tell you all the data. But this set of slides I thought was just really lovely.
Cool. I'll have to flip through those.
They're both functional. As you stare at them and you read them, you're like, okay, that's making sense. And they're beautiful. All right.
Well, I found the Weird Al song.
Oh, yep.
Mission statement.
Okay. Well, you have to throw a link in for that one too.
Yep.
That was a funny video. Okay. I hadn't planned on that, but there you go. You get what you get when you're in my mind.
And with that, we'll end the show.
Okay, probably best. Have a good night, Eric.
See you, John.